Thank you very much. Please sit down, everyone. It's so good to see so many familiar faces. I had the great pleasure of speaking at your Twin Pets last year, just before the pandemic was declared. And it's been a long, dark, it was like the longest April ever. So it's been a long tunnel that we're coming through, and I'm just so proud of Rotarians everywhere for finding resources and ways to stay connected. Some of us have been using Zoom a long time. I introduced Zoom to my district here in 6380 in 2015 because I just knew it would be a good way to spend more of our Rotary attention units on actual progress and actual productivity. But it's such a pleasure to see so many people jumping into the Zoom swimming pool. Granted, because of the pandemic, because of COVID-19, but nonetheless, and you can see it in the breakout rooms tonight. I had the pleasure of being in a few of them, and just to see the warm smile on people's faces, you don't see that very often anymore, and you certainly haven't seen it for the last few months, so it was very heartwarming, and I want to thank Mike Laurie for inviting me to say a few words to you tonight. Indeed, ladies and gentlemen, these are interesting times. I don't think we're nearly done with them yet. We're going to have to be resourceful. We're going to have to be efficient. We're going to have to be patient. But fortunately, these are all qualities that Rotarians pride themselves on. We are not going to have to adjust as much as most people in the world are. We have temperance. We have civility. We have etiquette. We have civility, and it just makes me proud to be a member of an organization that has changed the world so much and changed my personal life so much. Some have said that the COVID-19 pandemic has put us at a fork in the road. Some have said that a lack of physical meetings has put us at a fork in the road. Others, with a longer view, have said that our aging organization has put us at a fork in the road. Many of our districts, mine included, has been rezoned recently because of this pesky membership problem that we have in North America. And in fact, all of Michigan will be joining Canada in what's to be called Zone 28 starting on July 1st. And it's my pleasure to do what I can to lead the way as public image coordinator for Zone 28 in the eastern half of our district. I'll be sharing the position with Michelle O'Brien. Some of you know her from Alaska. My point is, ladies and gentlemen, that there's always a fork in the road. Every day when you get up, there's a fork in the road. Should you go right or should you go left? Would you like to take the sunny side of the street or the shady side of the street? Would you like to do the right thing, or would you like to take some chances and maybe do the wrong thing? I'm confident with leaders like Mike Laurie coming into the saddle and our new Rotary director, Valerie Wafer, that we're all going to make better decisions than we would make under normal conditions. But Rotary somehow always takes the right path, and I'm just so grateful for that. I want to say something special to the presidents-elect that are on the call today. I know a lot of you are getting ready to take office, and some of you may feel overwhelmed. Some of you may be saying to yourself, why me? Some of you might be saying to yourself, why now? With all of the stuff that's going on, this is not going to be an easy time to herd the cats. And yet I have a saying I've been using in Rotary for a long time, which is, Rotary never asks you to do something that you're not capable of doing. So even on the day that you think you're not up to the task, or that you don't have the skill set, or that you're not the right person for the job, I want you to know that I believe in you, and others believe in you, and you should believe in yourself, because you indeed can get the job done. We wouldn't have asked you to do it if we didn't think you could do it. So please remember that during what might be some dark days ahead. There are 4 things I want to share with you before I finish my talk tonight. I'm very fortunate to be on the Rotary speaking circuit now for 2 decades, doing keynotes at zone events and multi-district pets and multi-district conferences and even speaking at the international convention. It's been my pleasure to do so. And people ask me on social media, I get phone calls about this. They say, what should we do next? Because we're at that fork in the road. And there are, I think, 4 things that Rotary should do next. And you can play a role in this to the extent that you care to. And if you want to write them down, we can talk about them more in chat. We can do some quick Q&A. I'll stay on afterwards to answer questions in chat. But these are the 4 things I think Rotary should do next. Number 1, I think we need to shore up communications. In the military, they call it comms, communications. So we need to shore up comms. And that means texting, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, Facebook Messenger. We need to get really good at bulk email. And I think this is really important for incoming presidents. They have to have a way to communicate with the people that are most important to them, whether it's through a newsletter or a very active Facebook page. But by shoring up comms, you can actually have half of a chance to communicate with the people you need to get the message to. I feel very strongly about this. And by the way, good old-fashioned phone calls still work. I was using the computer the other day, and somebody emailed me and they said, is it okay if we have a phone chat sometime? And I sent back, sure, why don't you just call me? And people text me to ask my permission to call me. And I never understand this. One guy called me last week. He said to me, I was on the phone with him, right? I'm on the phone, and he says, geez, I was wondering if it would be okay if we talk sometime. And I'm like, how about now? Because we're on the phone. Let's do it. But there's like this new thing in society where we feel like we have to get permission all the time to reach out to somebody. How about this? You make a promise to me not to waste my time. I'll take your call anytime you want to call, day or night. And if you can make that bargain with people, I promise never to waste your time. They will take your call, and you don't need to text them and ask permission. Just call up your mate and have a conversation. I think it's really important. I think it's especially important during these dark days of COVID-19 where we feel so disconnected. I feel so strongly about this. I set up a Facebook group especially for connecting with Rotarians to share high-end marketing techniques that will help you grow your club, raise more money, and get attention for the greatest service organization in the world. I'm going to invite you to join that group right now. The group is called Get the Word Out Now. If you just go to Facebook and search the group, it comes up. You have to be admitted to the group because we don't let bots in. We don't let fake people in, right? And when you get to this group, you're going to find that it's not like a pigeon Facebook group. You know what pigeons do, don't you? They just fly over and they drop stuff and they fly away. They don't even check the thread to see what's happening. And we have deeper conversations in this, marketing conversations about what's working to grow your club, raise more money, and get more attention for Rotary. So I hope you join it. So the first thing we need to do is shore up comms. The second thing we need to do is get clear on our goals. We often see this even between governors who are doing a changeover, presidents who are doing a changeover, and they don't even agree on primary thrusts for the club. So is it any wonder that sometimes clubs and districts and even zones are confused about what's next? A lot of incoming presidents are worried about ruining your club. Don't worry, you can't ruin your club in 1 year. The bigger concern is having 3 bad presidents in a row, 3 low-performing leaders in a row. That can ruin a club. That can ruin a district. So we need to take care that we have good leadership succession, that we're not just identifying future governors, but cultivating future governors, cultivating future presidents. I think that's really important. If you just tap people on the shoulder on May 20th and say, guess what, it's your turn, things aren't going to go well. So when I say get clear on goals, I'm talking about numbers. I love numbers because numbers cannot be misinterpreted. So If you're going to grow your club plus 10 this year, the number 10 cannot be disputed. If you just say we're going to grow the club, nobody knows what that means. We hear this a lot. Thank you for the thumbs up, everybody. If you agree, you can do me a thumbs up. If you disagree, you can do the thumbs down. Let's give each other some fast feedback loops, even right now. And if you have questions about how to do any of this stuff, just type it into chat. I'll be finished in a few minutes. When we're clear on goals, when we're using numbers, for example, we're going to raise $30,000 for polio this year, or $10,000 for polio. The number 10,000 cannot be disputed. It's very clear. My least favorite example of this is when people say, well, we want to have more fun this year. I don't know how to measure fun. And it turns out what's fun for a 70-year-old may not be fun for a 40-year-old. Excuse me, everyone. And so we can't measure fun, but we can measure deadlines, membership, dollars in the bank. A lot of times we try to measure members. We should be trying to measure visitors, because you have to visit Rotary 3 times to join. We're not measuring how many people visit 1 time, how many people visit 2 times, right? That would be an interesting thing to keep track of, because if you can't get them there 3 times, you're never going to get a member. The Troy Rotary Club of Michigan buys your lunch for you, not the first time you visit, but the second time you visit. First time it's on your own, you got some skin in the game. Second time that you come, we buy your lunch. We just figure you're taking another bite of the fish bait, right? And if we can get you back that 3rd time, you've got a membership application for sure, and we're looking forward to you joining the club. So numbers are really important. How about attendance on your Zoom calls? That's a number. Right now we have 155 people on this call. If you scroll down to and move your cursor to the bottom part of the screen, you can see 155. My goal is to make sure that number is not any lower at the end of my talk, because that's a measurement of how good my talk was. If people are leaving the call in droves, I need to do a better presentation. So why not try to double your Zoom attendance with a really good speaker in the next couple of weeks? I think that's a good goal, and it can be measured by numbers. Number 3 of the 4 things that Rotary needs to do next. I think we need to focus on something called outward-facing programming. I'm hearing this phrase from RI quite a bit these days. Here's a quick example of this. I belong to the Rotary Club of Troy, Michigan. Not unlike a lot of Rotary clubs, we're an aging club. We don't have a lot of business professionals in the club. And I used the F word to describe my club a while back. I referred to my club as folksy. I didn't mean anything by it. I thought it was a fact, another F word. We're a folksy club. You know, the president of the club called me that night, and he was angry with me. He said, "How dare you refer to us as folksy? We're professionals. We're in high gear. We're in the prime of our life." And I said to him, you know, I don't agree. I think we're a retirement club. The average age of our club is up around 65, 66 years old. If you want to be a professional club, we can get there, but the first step is properly identifying the problem. Psychologists call this the naked look in the mirror. Most of us don't have the courage to do this. If you take off all of your clothes and stand in a full-length mirror for 2 minutes and just have a look. Most people don't have the courage to do this. And if you do have the courage, your eyes go to the things you don't like first. Of course, the secret to this is looking at all the things that you do like. By the way, the most attractive part of all of our bodies is the inside. And the mirror doesn't show that, does it? So we get distracted. We start focusing on, what's that hanging there? Not supposed to be there, you know? So we need to focus on the positive, but be very clear about what we want to improve. And outward-facing programming is one of those things that we can have a look at. A folksy club, for example, that wants to patronize the members of the club won't book 30-something and 40-something speakers. They're not our cup of tea. We tend to book speakers that talk about things that senior citizens would be interested in hearing about, retirees. But if we really, truly wanted to attract 30-somethings and 40-somethings into our club, we would get 30-something and 40-something speakers to talk about 30-something and 40-something topics so that we would get 30-something and 40-something visitors. Does that make sense to you? Thumbs up if it agrees to you. If it doesn't make sense to you, that's fine. But this is how marketing works. Marketing is the illusion, creating the illusion of something that has yet to happen. And it takes a little bit of forward thinking to do that. Outward facing programming. So, quick review, we need to shore up communications. We need to get really clear on our goals, and goals are numbers. Number 3, we need to do outward facing programming for the people who aren't even in our club yet. And number 4, we need to improve the club experience. You've probably heard that Rotary does a great job, and let's say a pretty good job, of pulling people into our sales funnel. You know what a sales funnel looks like, a regular funnel. The idea is because Rotary is such a good value proposition that people would enter that sales funnel and they would come out the bottom as members. They would enter as visitors, they would come out the bottom as members. And a lot of them do. But we also know that people tend to leave the club 12 to 18 months after they join. Now, if the value proposition is solid and we're delivering on the value proposition, why do so many people leave? And I think it's because we fool ourselves about the value proposition. We don't actually deliver exactly what we're capable of delivering in the club experience. We do things too slow sometimes. We do things inefficiently sometimes. Thank you, Sandhya. I attended a 50-50 drawing the other day. It took 6 minutes to do it. 6 minutes to pull a card out of a deck because the Rotarians are getting distracted. All the corporate people, you know, if you got any attorneys in your club, accountants, they bill by 6-minute increments, and they're looking at their watch like, seriously, it's going to take that long to do this? So by running your events like TV shows, and Zoom has been a great help in this because we start to think of it as a TV show with no dead air, ladies and gentlemen. And when we go back to physical meetings, if we can carry some of these best practices in Zoom where we don't have any dead air and we make really efficient use of people's time, we're in and out of those physical meetings in 60 minutes, not 75 minutes, not 90 minutes, so that business people can actually join the club and get out and get back to work. I think that's going to be a key to attracting what we call the yo pros. Anybody? Young professionals. So there you go. An improved club experience. By the way, many of you are speaking on behalf of Rotary, and if you are, I have a free Facebook group. It's called Present Like a Pro, because if our Rotary speakers were actually better at what they did, they would be more efficient with their calls to action, and they would draw bigger crowds, and they would be a magnet for new members coming into Rotary. So the Facebook group is called Present Like a Pro. The first Facebook group I mentioned to you is called Get the Word Out Now. Both of the groups are free. And it's my pleasure to be an admin in both of these groups as we set up success in 2020 and 21. It is true I'm going to be involved with public image for Zone 28. That means all of you next year. If you have a public image chair in your club, if you have a public image chair for the district, you should have them connect with me right away on all social media platforms, certainly in the Get the Word Out Now group on Facebook, so that we can have synergy, we can all be rowing together at the same time, and we can get this boat moving. I want to thank all of you for all you do for the greatest service organization in the world, and I want to especially thank Mike Laurie for connecting me to your great people and inviting me today. Mike, you're going to be a fantastic district governor. I remember watching how you worked at the Twin Pets, and you're an impressive person. You're going to be good for the district, and I'm just so optimistic about things that are coming our way in Rotary. Thank you very much, everybody. I'd be happy to answer any questions if somebody wants to help me with that, and I'll stay on and answer questions in chat after we finish.
you, Michael, and we believe in you too. Now, we have no bots. I've seen a few pigeons, but not lately.
Good.
But my wife keeps saying I'm starting to look folksy. So I'm going to take off my clothes.
Oh, not now. No, not now.
Oh, well, all right. Just my jacket then.
Thank you, sir. I'm glad to hear somebody was listening.
There, back in the business. So thanks again, Mike. What did I do? I just touched something, so bear with me.
Thank you for all the great comments, everybody. I appreciate the great feedback.